All right, good morning. We're doing it big, live on Twitch, live on YouTube, Saturday morning, getting ready to get prepared to get out and about on another Saturday. Good seeing you, good talking with you. God bless. We're going to take this from a approach of when we talked about our 90-day challenge, right? We talked about our 90-day challenge. And when we talked about it, we were talking about a financial fitness challenge, right? With certain aspects that we would look at on how to get financially fit and get our things in order over the next 90 days. What can we do over the next 90 days to make a change, right? And I think 90 days is a good amount of time to start to get a feel for things. Well, you may get a couple of small wins, some small victories, and then be able to get motivated to move on and master some bigger things. So 90 days, look at this, financial fitness for 90 days. And we talked about it, and boom, we're going to look at today with some of God's guidance on money matters, how to address some things, particularly with making a plan, And I want to take this from a faith-based perspective first. From a faith-based perspective, um, most Christians will understand that debt is frowned upon in the Christian community, but debt is frowned upon in the Christian community because it makes you beholden to someone else in the future time. You have no control over the future, so you don't even know if you'll be around in the future. And it doesn't mean that God's people never got in debt. We see that all the time, that the debtors were coming to collect, and they wanted to take the widow of one of the prophet's followers. They wanted to take the widow of one of the prophet's followers. They wanted to take their children and enslave them because they couldn't pay the debt. So keep that in mind. The debt's been around in the community, and how we've handled it has been in many different ways. But here's another way of dealing with it based upon having consistent income, a salary, or a weekly, bi-weekly check that you receive from work that you do on an hourly basis, on a regular schedule. Okay. If you need to, add a side hustle, start a new business. But this is based upon what I'm saying about debt right now. And so when we talk about debt, the Bible frowns upon debt. It says we're to be the head and not the tail. But some things happen in life, and sometimes we end up in places in life where we're not supposed to be, and God still has the power to forgive us. God still has the power to deal with us mightily. And so don't beat yourself up. Pray about it, repent, make a turnaround, and it'll be different. It'll be different. Um, in order to address all this, you need a plan. And that's central to what we're talking about today. You need a plan. You need to put a plan together. Um, Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Um, you're going to see that a lot. You're going to see that a lot. A lot of the comparison of profit and um, foolishness and all that coming about from the Bible, particularly in Proverbs, right? Particularly in Proverbs. And I'm just going to share another one with you that might help you get through today. It might help you get through today. But it talks about if you do the work, right? If you do the work of the land, you're going to have plenty of bread. But if you just do things going after worthless pursuits, you're going to have plenty of poverty, right? If you just, pipe dreaming, you're going to be dealing with poverty or not. If you're going after doing the hard work that pays off and pays off consistently, you're going to have plenty of bread to eat. That's what happens there. So let's take this from the perspective of credit card first. All right, I'm going to do this from a credit card perspective first, and then as far as dealing with debt, and then go into a plan for paying an auto loan off early, right? So debt, right? Debt. You have to keep in mind your goal with debt is simple. It's not real complicated. It's not going to overwhelm you. Your goal is to develop a plan, right? That's going to help you destroy the debt, so it's no longer a distraction, and you can meet your other financial commitments and goals, right? You can only save so much for retirement in your Roth IRA if you have an additional $800, $900 in debt, right? You can only pay so much. You can't pay everybody equally, but you still need to be able to peel off some of that debt and put it towards some of your savings, your emergency savings. Remember, we talked about Dave Ramsey. The baby steps. Can anybody remember that? The baby steps are applicable. The baby steps are appropriate. The baby steps fit, right? They fit because they make sense. And putting that $1,000 to the side, putting that debt on a track to be taken care of and knocked out immediately is something that fits. Help we keep going. I hope we keep going. God bless. Here we go. So the goal is to get out of that. The goal is to get out of that and be done with it. And so with that, there's a couple of approaches, and I'll say this in all honesty. Both of these, the debt snowball, right, and the debt avalanche, they work for different people in different circumstances, right? If you take all your debts, put them out there and get your total amount due, right? That'll give you a big number, right? And so break that big number down. You can look at the accounts with the highest interest rate, pay those off first. You can look at the accounts with the lowest minimums, right? Or the lowest total amount for those accounts. And say, okay, I can pay that $300 off in 2-3 months, and that give me a small victory. Knock it out. So do that and create your first priority, right? Create your first priority, and from your first priority, then begin to build a plan of, based upon my first priority, now I want to go ahead and focus, right? We'll go ahead and focus on, paying off this debt first. And so that's your first priority. You identify it, and then you focus on paying that debt off first. That may require you to pay a little extra. That may require you to pay, twice a month, right? What is it? If your bill is $25 and you pay $25 on the 5th and $25 on the 20th, right? Based upon you getting a bi-weekly check. Cool. If you say every other week, no matter what, the month, I'm going to pay every other week $25 on this bill, right? Instead of just making 12 payments a year, you would have made 26 payments, right? More than double the number of payments. Is that enough to knock out that bill? You've got to calculate that. You've got to make sure you measure that. Put that within a time frame that is reasonable, that makes sense of, hey, I need to get out of this with some sense of urgency, right? Let's not just say, well, I'm going to keep paying the minimum, No, I say you should pay at least the minimum, right? You should pay at least the minimum because of how credit cards report on your credit score, right? You should pay at least the minimum based upon how credit cards report payments on your credit score. If you go below, I believe, 98% in payments, you're you're on you're on a negative scale already, and payment history is a big factor in your credit score, as opposed to inquiries, right? Whether soft or hard, payment history is right up there with credit usage when it comes to your credit score. So keep your payment history as consistent as possible. Okay. And so we keep that as consistent as possible, paying at least the minimum. And if we can't pay something, come on, somebody, you know what to say. If we can't pay something, we need to say something. If you can't pay something, say something. That makes sense when we're talking about credit card bills, because creditors are, in that sense, they're willing to call you at different times and try to find out what's going on with the payment, when you get to make the payment, and they're willing to negotiate terms, right, for payment. They're willing to make changes in your payment schedule, your payment time, your payment amount, payment structure, however it works. They're willing to make changes and negotiate that, but they've got to get you on the phone. You've got to get online with it, and it's got to be something that you come to a mutual agreement with between both of you. It's not just you decide, well, I ain't paying them. Well, they're going to mark it down, report to the credit rating companies, and then your score is going to go down. And then when you go to buy a house, when you go to do something else, finance something else, it's going to pop up and say, well, it looks like here you had an issue. That's how it works. So at least pay the minimum. And if you can't pay something, say something. So decide on either that debt snowball, where you begin to accumulate and knock out debt smaller and smaller, and it grows bigger and bigger, or you pay those big high interest debts, pay those off, and then begin to take that avalanche approach. Decide on which one you want to do, that snowball or that avalanche. And I say that works. That works for who it works for, right? That applies for who it works for. At minimum, take the total amount owed, right? Take the total amount owed and divide it by the number of cards or accounts, right? That'll give you another number to aim at to what you need to pay monthly, regardless of, well, they only want $20, but if you've got 60 set aside to pay that 60 and move towards being done with it. If you can divide that and break that up, by amount of time, the total amount owed, right? By, let's say, the next 2 years, I want to be done with this whole thing. Divided by 24 months. Year and a half, you want to be done with the thing. Divided by 18 months. However you want to do it, break it up and get done with it and get through with it, and voila. But that's how you need to break that up as far as handling debt. But you need a plan, man. You need a plan. If you don't have a plan, it's going to go crazy, and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it in a way that, you shouldn't have to feel it, but you're going to feel it, and it's not going to be pleasant. You need a plan. And so go with that in paying off debt. Now, we move from paying off debt for credit cards to breaking down, making a plan to pay off other things, right? So This simply goes through the structuring of the plan, right? One, you need a plan for making the money moves so that you can handle the money matters over a specific period of time, How are you going to handle this particular money matter over a specific period of time? We're looking at 90 days. How are you going to handle that over the next 90 days? Are you going to build an account? Or are you going to, start doing something to build credit or rebuild credit? What are you doing over the next 90 days? Now, here we go, right? I will pay, right? You make a statement about it on how you plan to handle that specific money matter. You write a statement about it and how you're going to handle it during a certain duration of time. I will pay extra $125. I'll pay $125 extra per month towards my auto loan over the next 10 months in order to pay off the loan completely. I will pay that, and that will be extra on top of what I already owe because it's going to help me pay off the loan completely. That's the plan. That's the duration, 10 months. That's the amount, $125. Now, guess what? I can't just leave it at $125. I need to do what? I need to find out, okay, where is this $125 coming from? Is it coming out of my salary? Is it coming out of my savings? Is it coming out of my side hustle? Right? What's the source of this $25? This $125? Is it salary? Right? I'm taking it out of my check. Is it savings? I'm taking it out of my bank account or some other account, right? Or is it side hustle? I'm gonna earn it, and then as I earn it, I'm gonna use it to pay off. What's the source of me paying this and using this? Because if you go back to Dave Ramsey, the baby steps and the budgeting, every dollar has its own job. Every dollar has a job. Every dollar is accounted for. So manage that. Look at that. See what that says. See how that fits in. And so I identify the source of the $125, and then I start paying the $125 on the upcoming due date. I get it ready. I get it set aside. I put it in place. It's in position. So when it comes due date, I can boom, drop it in there. Right? If I set it up and I automate it, here we go. If I set it up and I automate it, when I make that automation, right, I make it with enough time leading up to the payment schedule to where I'm not short the day of the payment's due date, that I'm still on time with my regular payment, and the extra is still coming in based upon that automation. Like I said, if I'm going to do it twice a month, based upon being paid twice a month, then I set it for the 5th and the 20th, right? The 10th and the 25th, right? I put those 2 weeks in between with a day or so to play with, right? Why do I say a day or so to play with? Holidays fall on certain business days, and they disrupt transmissions depending on who you bank with, depending on who you handle your finances with, depending on who you work for, right? All that matters. And so that's what I'm saying about getting prepared for your bill payment, right? So use this, right? Use this and use it as a framework for when you make a new plan for your next money move, right? Use this as a framework for when you make a new plan for your next money move. And when you do that, right, that's going to get you set up to take action. And when you take action, you're taking action on getting this plan underway to match with this financial fitness challenge. I say that because I found it difficult to go through setting up a challenge, and then we're in the midst of a challenge, but we don't have what we need as the groundwork of how to do it, how to get through it, how to make moves and accomplish some things. And so every aspect of this challenge, I say make a plan for it. Make a plan for setting up the business or side hustle. Make a plan for it. Are you going to do an LLC? Or are you going to do a sole proprietorship? Are you going to be an independent contractor? Or are you going to be, an employee for someone for extra money? What are you going to do? Right? You make that plan, because if it can happen in 90 days, it can set up some changes for you later on down the road. Let's say for 6 months, right? Let's say what you set up in 90 days, you keep it going for 6 months. And what kind of changes can you have going on if that works out for you? That's what I'm talking about. The goal is to master the money matters. And if we can get started within these 90 days, who knows what can happen if we stick with it for 6 months, 9 months, even 18 months. A lot can happen if we're consistent and we're prudent about it, right? So if we're consistent and prudent about it, a lot can happen in our favor just starting with this 90 days. And I think that's a good angle and approach that we can take. And I'm excited about it. We'll come back and revisit this at the 30-day mark, at the 60-day mark, and eventually at the 90-day mark. So I just wanted to add this piece so that we can push forward and get into the activity of it. If you need more help, you can always check out and look on the blog, right? If you need more help, you can always look on the blog, and that's not going to be any problem. I just want you to check out it's at WordPress, right? And it's just Rev Bruce at WordPress.com. Right? All that is there, and you'll be able to have it and look at it and reference it. And that's going to be important for what we're trying to do. It'll be important for what we're trying to do, and what we're trying to do with our finances, what we're trying to do with our faith, what we're trying to do just as a whole. And so I want you to be excited about it. I want you to be equipped in doing the things that you need to be able to do, and able to do it and be stronger and set up for success. Right? Hey, this is definitely another toast to you, another week of Coffee and Chat with Rev Bruce. Stick around for next week when I bring some new juice to the table, some new excitement, a little more on the business side of things, the entrepreneurship side of things, and we can look at that and be prepared. If you got that entrepreneurial spirit and you're looking forward of starting something new, digging in, come on, check it out. I'd love to talk to you, hear from you. God bless.